went near side, and Calgary's on the board. 2-1 our score. And it looks like our video feed has been restored. 9:56 on the clock.
Scoring for the Calgary Selects, number 25,
Sean Paul, unassisted. Most of the team comes from Calgary. The only player who does not fit that geographical description is Grosclaus. He comes from Carstairs in Alberta. Our video feed has been restored. Unfortunately, we couldn't show you video of the Sean Paul goal. It was a great one. But Calgary making this a 2-1 game and showing a little bit of life here. Mike Beaton here. Mike York will rejoin us soon. And once more, you can leave us your comments on the Ustream feed or send me a tweet at TheSportsBrain. We'd love to hear from you. We've been hearing a lot of Chad Wilson's name because he keeps racing his way in there to intervene. I've been impressed by his play today. Stoppage in play with 8 minutes and 36 seconds.
I'd like to say thank you for staying patient with us. What happened was a cord was unplugged. It's one of those things with internet broadcasting, and I'm sorry that happened, and hopefully we won't have that again.
You just joined us. Sean Paul recently scored for the Calgary Selects. Minnesota scored 2 goals in the first period. The first from Matt Wimmergren, the second from Chad Wilson. Wimmergren scoring on the power play goal. And Jeff Barrett making some key stops in the second period, having to withstand the relentless assault from Chad Wilson. Grosclaus trying to work around a pick. Wilson with a spin move. And the ball is trapped near the retaining wall behind the Minnesota net. Now Wilson trying to poke it away. And the ball goes back behind the Minnesota net. Where would this Minnesota team be without Wilson? We have a collision, and Wilson pokes it away. Paul and number 19, Joe Hughley, are jammed. The chairs are jammed. Play right now continuing, and now they're going to stop. Paul and Joe Hughley were battling for the ball, and in the process, their chairs collided and are wedged in between themselves here, so play has to stop as neither of them can get themselves free. 7:03 left in the second period. Minnesota leads 2-1 in our final game of group play today. We have 8 games tomorrow as Hughley and Paul get free. 8 games coming your way tomorrow, starting at 10 a.m. and ending at roughly 10 p.m. Ustream will carry live coverage of every game. And for Calgary, actually, it's a very quick turnaround for them because they play the first game in group stage. They have a 10 o'clock game, so how is that going to affect endurance? Because as soon as this game is done, you got to get to bed right away and get up early to get back here for your next group stage game.
Yep, there's definitely, and not only endurance, but wheelchair endurance too. Make sure they charge those chairs up so they are ready to fly tomorrow.
All right, charge up the chairs, and not to mention there probably is additional time involved with traversing around the area, having to use the wheelchair accessible entries, and they're not as common as your traditional ones. Is that a situation you faced, Mike, when you were playing power hockey, where you had a game at night and then a game early the next morning?
Yeah, well, I didn't play power hockey, but I played adapted floor hockey, which has power wheelchairs in it. And yeah, that for me definitely that affected my stamina and getting up, having to play 2 games. We used to play 3 games in 3 days, and that really affected our stamina.
Jeff Barrett with another save, and he freezes the ball, so a face-off in the Calgary zone with 6 minutes, 35 seconds left. How did you prepare for those kinds of games, Mike, where you had 2 games in the span of roughly 12 hours, which is very demanding on an athlete?
I listened to music, and that always got me pumped up to play every game, and just having mental focus, knowing who your next opponent is, and if you've seen them before, knowing what they can do and what they not can do. For this, they only see each other twice a year, unless they have like in between tournaments.
And whatever access they might have to game film. .6:14 left in the second period. Minnesota leads Calgary 2-1, as you can see on the screen. Sean Paul, a goal for Calgary, and Calgary bringing just 8 players on their official roster. Minnesota going a lot deeper, but to this point, most of the play has revolved around Chad Wilson. Well, Minnesota has a lot of players, but Chad Wilson is their anchor, without question. That was a great attempt by Wilson. Tried to reach in there and scoop a shot in, couldn't quite do so, and now the puck is trapped on the far right side of the playing surface. Now it's clear, but Wilson is going to get there first. And he will pass it, but nobody within his range. Calgary, that's onside. Paul with a shot that sails wide left. Paul sensed the Minnesota defenders coming and released it before they could intervene. Not a bad shot, just a little too much angle. That pass to Paul off the mark. We're noticing a 2-man battle here. That is no goal, no goal. And I'll explain. Paul got a pass off to Thorne, but the ball went off of his body.
I believe so.
And you cannot use any part of your body outside of the stick. So even though it went in, the goal was negated. So it remains a 2-1 score. Tough break for the Calgary team.
Yep, it looks just, as you saw in the replay there. It did. He swatted it up high and looked like it hit him while he swatted it. So, yeah, no goal.
I mean, it was inadvertent, but again, the ball touching his body, and that's not allowed in power hockey. So the goal disallowed, and Minnesota retains their 2-1 lead. Grossgloss had it. Chad Wilson stole it. Now back to Grossgloss. That's number 81, Josh Twite, reaching in there. Pass off the mark. Twite retrieves it. Looking to set up Chad Wilson again.
Good pass. Josh just missed it. Made a nice play, though. Trying to get it. Had a wide open net and just misses.
And I noticed that Chad Wilson is not getting as many touches as he did in the first period. Another shot that goes wide left. I think Paul tried his hand at it again, and he couldn't put it in.
Calgary doing a good job of trying to really limit Wilson's touches and getting in his way and causing a lot of havoc for him.
Trying to make Minnesota's remaining contingent to come up with something. Trying to get them to come up with a trick or two. Because we know Chad Wilson, if he gets a chance, he'll put it in. And we're going to have a delayed penalty here on Minnesota. So we'll find out what the ruling is in a moment. But Calgary goes on their first power play of the game with 2 minutes and 49 seconds left in the second period.
Very close game, and I think this is going to be a close game through the entire game here. These teams know each other well. These guys go back and forth. These are the two powerhouses of power hockey as of right now.
Minnesota, the two-time defending Power Hockey Cup champion, and we're going to have to face off at the Minnesota zone. And Calgary, the defending Canadian champions from last year.
Two-minute minor penalty on number 20, Matt Wimmergren of the Minnesota Saints.
2-minute minor assessed to number 20, Matt Wimmergren, and we haven't heard much from him either. Again, Wilson and Wimmergren not able to hook up with the same proficiency as they did in the first.
No, they're not, but they're trying, and like I said, Calgary doing a great job of defense.
Minnesota converted on their one power play attempt thus far. Wilson pokes it away. Gets a shot off. Barrett with another stop.
Question from Angie BB Gun. What chair is Wilson using? He's kind of using a, if you ever seen power soccer before, that's what they use for power soccer. Usually they attach a big, what's the word? Like a cow catcher, like on a train, sort of. And that's what they use to push around, and it's very low to the ground and quick. That's what kind of chair he's using.
Because if there's one concern while playing power hockey or soccer, it's cattle straggling onto the field.
Well, he doesn't really have that on him now, but that's what usually attached to it. So, but he has that off for hockey.
Sean Paul was looking for a seam, couldn't find it, and now Dwight gets in there. 15 seconds remain in the power play for Calgary. Wilson trying to clear it, and he'll take control, and that should kill off the power play. Lobs it, that was close, but deflected off of Barrett. Power play expires. Minnesota returns to full strength. Another shot, that was close. Remember, Chad Wilson scored the first goal of the game by getting a shot to roll underneath Barrett's chair. No man's land in the sport of power hockey. Sean Paul has it. 15 seconds remain in the period. Grossgloss trying to work around the Minnesota screen. Now Paul has it as he rolls to his right. Shot that is stopped by number 5, Josh Wimmergren, a name we haven't called much. Chad Wilson will clear it out, and the second period comes to an end, but Calgary very much in this 2-1 game after a goal from Sean Paul. Again, getting the steal and scoring a near side shot.
Well, that was good. That was a great period. Good action. Calgary cutting now the lead in half. Now they're down by 1, but it's been a close game. I say, actually, I think Calgary got the better of the play there right at the middle to the end part of the second period, Mike.
I would be tough to argue that proposition. So we will pause for our second intermission. Come back in a couple of minutes. Minnesota leads Calgary 2-1 in the final game of group play scheduled for today in the Power Hockey Cup 2014. Welcome back to the legendary Rory Wilkins Auditorium. Mike Peden here with Mike York as we get ready to commence the third period in our final game of the day. Minnesota with a 2-1 lead over Calgary, and as you mentioned, Mike, Calgary won the second period. How do they carry that momentum and that performance and try to win this in the third?
I think what they need to do is keep putting on the pressure and limit Chad's chances. That's the way to really beat this team is, really limit his chances and his touches. Force him to hit long shots. Force him to pass it up. That's what you want. And then for offense, they need to just keep working as a team and trying to break through that tough Saints defense. It's harder than it sounds.
Chad Wilson not getting a lot of quality looks in the second period. Calgary doing a much better job limiting his touches. This is a battle of champions. Calgary, the defending Canadian champions. Minnesota,
Thanks.
the two-time defending Power Hockey Cup champions, would like to win one in their home state. The previous 2 tournaments were held in Canada. One in Toronto, and the last event, which was 2 years ago, in Ottawa. Minnesota wearing the white, Calgary wearing the red.
I will say this, though. Anytime you beat a Chad Wilson team, that is an upset.
Well, Calgary hasn't beaten them just yet. They still trail 2-1. Chad Wilson scored the first goal of the game, getting a shot to glide underneath Jeff Barrett's chair. Matt Wimmergren scored a power play goal with an assist from Chad Wilson. Both players have 1 goal and 1 assist. Sean Paul got a steal and a near side shot to go in the second period. That goal was unassisted, and that brings us to our 2-1 score. First game in group stage competition. Each team will play 3 games, so every team will face their group opponents once, and that will determine seeding for the playoff bracket, which will take place on Wednesday. Every team, though, will play throughout the day. But you want to be in the winner's bracket and not the loser's bracket.
Yep. Matt Wimmergren's goal right now proving to be the one goal that'll definitely might win it here.
Well, we still have a long way to go. 13 minutes remaining. Grossgloss has tried to set up a lot of attacks, and even though Chad Wilson didn't get as many touches on offense in the second period, he was still very disruptive on defense. And he has the ball here, weaving around a couple of picks. Can he get a shot off? He does, and it's a goal! Squeezed it in between the tight space of Barrett and the net, found the perfect lane, and Chad Wilson comes up clutch again. 3-1, Minnesota leads Calgary.
Here it is right there, bam. Finds a hole and lives life to the fullest.
That's it, that's your line?
Yes.
Lives life to the fullest. That's the best you could do.
Bam. Yes, it is.
Scoring again for the Minnesota Saints, number 87.
I thought you'd say something along the lines of putting a little English on it.
No. Yeah, that's been used.
Well, Minnesota gets a much-needed insurance goal. 3-1 is our score. We'll get that up on the screen for you in a moment. "12 minutes and 6 seconds. Wilson with the second goal of the game, unassisted. 3 points so far. Face-off in the Minnesota zone. And this puts the pressure on Calgary. As we said, they played a very valiant second period, but now you're trailing by 2, and Chad Wilson just found a way to put another score on you.
Stacy from the chat here puts says a good thing here. She says, yep, too bad. Hard for Calgary to recover now. It's going to be very hard and tough. She's right about that, or he.
And we want to offer another reminder that you can send your comments on the Ustream feed, as our fans have been doing throughout the day. And you can also connect with me on Twitter at @TheSportsBrain. All one word, The Sports and Brain, and we will be happy to read your tweets on the air. We'd love to hear from the fans who make this tournament possible. 11:15 and counting. Here is Matt Wimmergren. He has a goal and an assist to his credit. And he loses the ball there. It's picked up by Falconer. Falconer can't get past the block of Wilson. Not to compare the two, but Chad Wilson is reminiscent of Maya Moore in what those two players do for their respective teams. It's not just the points, but all the other intangibles that make them very effective all-around players. Twite trapped in the corner. Ball is free. Bermanes will stop it. And Matt Wimmergren can't get there in time for a breakaway. Grossclass has it. Now Falconer lobs it. And that was a little close. But Josh Wimmergren does deflect it away from the goal. And if you wonder why the defenders sit there throughout most of the game, that's why. Some more defense here by Minnesota to stop Calgary from getting a clean shot off. But the defenders lay back so they can get themselves in position to deflect a shot, because if they're not there, then you're at the mercy of the goalie. And as we saw earlier, you can roll the ball underneath the chair and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
That's a good point there, Mike. Yep, there's not much you can do when that happens.
We're in the Calgary zone now. Twite's still battling. I notice he seems to get in those corner scrums. Wilson tends to establish himself. Both are forwards. But an interesting trend I've observed in this game. As we mentioned, we'll have live coverage of all 8 group stage games tomorrow starting at 10 a.m. I will not be here. I will be returning on Wednesday for the semifinals. And then I will be here Thursday to cover all of our championship games, the consolation bracket, the third place game, and the championship. And that can't be an icing call.
No, there is no icing. I think the tape or just helping a player, maybe. I'm not sure what that was.
We'll have a face-off at the Minnesota zone. Wilson and Grossclass in a jam. Now Falconer picks up the ball. Twite robs him of it. Rebound, and it's stopped by a couple of the Calgary players, so Matt Wimmergren can't get in there for a rebound. Wilson will clear it. Lob will be caught by Wilson, and will go the other way. And a delayed offside was called, or I should say signaled, but the Grossclass got back behind the center line in time. Remember, offside is based on the center line in power hockey. And a clear out to the Minnesota zone, and look who's there to retrieve it first. It's Chad Wilson. And we'll go the other way. Bermanes with Matt Wimmergren. Those two chase each other down and now are trapped near the retaining wall on the far side. And Minnesota will gladly take this scrum because it simply chews away more time. 6:45 and counting. Calgary certainly not out of this, but they have not been able to establish much of a presence on offense in the third period.
Good point from the chat. Written, I'm going to murder this, but written.
I would neuter this.
Yes, you would neuter.
I'm
I'm going to murder it.
You're much more drastic than I am.
Yeah, that's right. Written 000 says Saints are looking conservative, but they are up by 2. So good point there.
Well, you don't want to give Calgary an odd man rush, and there's a risk of playing not to lose and that style allowing your opponent to come back. But, Calgary hasn't put a consistent attack on you. So Minnesota perhaps feeling it might be a little foolish to over-pursue right now when they're up by 2, because the important thing is getting a win. You're not necessarily worried about goal differential at this stage. I don't know if we keep track of goal differential. .538 remaining as we have another stoppage in play. Do we keep track of goal differential in group play, Mike?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask my associate's not over there for a group over at the table now, so we cannot check, but we will try.
Well, I guess it won't matter for me because I won't be here tomorrow, and so by that point we're in the knockout stage. But you can tell I'm still influenced by FIFA and their recent World Cup. Chad Wilson evading the picks again, but he can't get a good shot off, and it bounces behind the net. Paul has it. 5:08 on the clock. Calgary needs to get a couple of goals quickly here if they wish to get a win to start group play. Ball trapped near the Calgary net. Won by Minnesota. Wilson couldn't handle it. Recovers and picks it up anyway. And he'll clear it to the other side. Sean Paul has it. He has scored the only goal for Calgary, and his shot sails just wide left. Not sure if Heinz left an opening, but Minnesota getting another break there. Calgary almost equalized this game. Oh, Twite caught an errant pass, but the shot was wide left, and that would have been the clincher for sure.
Definitely, that was just an unfortunate miss, but man, that was close. Another one.
Minnesota looking for the dagger now. They may have played conservatively earlier, but they want an emphatic close to this game.
They are sharks in the water smelling blood right now.
And now you just put Steven Spielberg's, actually John Williams's famous music involving sharks in my head. Spielberg directed that film. I was going to say Calgary nearly tied this game. Paul got a pass and it deflected off of Ben Thorne. Unfortunately, because it went off of his body, which is not allowed in electric wheelchair hockey, the goal was disallowed. That was Calgary's best chance to tie it. So that one call as Wilson, that shot deflects off the shoulder of Barrett and falls behind the net. But that one sequence making a huge difference in this game. Calgary would have been trailing by 1, and the situation would have been much more tense than it is right now. Minnesota still hanging on to a 2-goal lead. So while the play of Chad Wilson has been nearly impeccable, again, not a great second period, but overall, the facets he has brought on both sides of the ball as he gets another shot off of Barrett. Rebound, no. The disallowed goal might be the play of the game.
Yeah, that definitely is. And got some other cool things here from people. The written said also, can you pull your goalie if Wilson's out there, or is that too risky? And My bet that would be too risky since he's putting a lot of shots on goal right now.
Well, the problem right now is Calgary can't get the ball outside of their own zone to create an empty net situation, and they would need a stoppage in play in order to do that. Thorne had a good chance, couldn't put it in. Wilson trying to evade a couple of picks, and he does. Wilson has another shot. Barrett with the save. An empty net would be risky, but again, until Calgary can get a stoppage in play, and they're finally going to get one as that shot sails out of bounds.
Also, Linda J. Dube, I'm sorry if I murdered that name too. She said she's had dreamed of coming to the Mall of America since they were here the last time. Well, we got news for you. They're making it even bigger, so next time you come out here, they're making the Mall of America even bigger.
We have a stoppage in play. It looks like a timeout, and Calgary elects not to pull their goalie, acknowledging the tweets of our fans. Jeff Barrett will remain between the pipes, or I should say the comments from our Ustream followers. And we have a penalty. Or a timeout.
I think it's just a timeout there.
Okay. So, well, we'll find out if Calgary decides to pull their goalie. And you mentioned it's a very risky proposition, but at the same time, you're trailing by 2, and you need to score bad. 1:18 left in regulation. Now is not the time to be conservative if you're Calgary.
And the name that I just murdered, it's actually pronounced Dubé, so thank you for the correction. Linda J. Dubé, thank you.
Linguist was not your calling, was it?
No, it wasn't. I'm more of the behind-the-scenes guy, but since, he looked bored without, my help, so I thought I'd help you along with the broadcast.
Let's reset the game for you. 1 minute, 18 seconds. Minnesota up 3-1 over Calgary. This is the first game of pool play, so both teams will have 2 more games tomorrow. But getting a win gives you solid position for playoffs or the knockout stage. Calgary will not pull their goalie. Jeff Barrett stays in the crease. That puck glides but goes off the wheel of Heinz. And Minnesota right now, it's all about elapsing time. Anything they can do to run out the clock. They've done more than enough to get the win. And I'm perplexed at Calgary's decision not to pull the goalie here.
Well, what they have done, though, as you see, is they moved up all their defense up so they can try to have more firepower.
Well, they move them up, but keep in mind, Bourbonnais, he'll move up, but then he'll drop back if it looks like Minnesota's going to win the puck, as we see there. Twite just clears it away with 26 seconds left, and it looks like Minnesota will hang on and come away with a victory to start pool play. Chad Wilson, the major reason for this victory. 2 goals, 1 assist, and all-out intrusion on defense. Final seconds tick away, and the host team, or one of the home teams, I should say, will come away with a win. 3-1 the final. Minnesota defeats Calgary. And you have to go back to that disallowed goal. You wonder how much that would have played into this last period if Calgary had that and tied this up in 2 instead of looking at a 3-1 deficit for the third.
Definitely, Mike. Yeah, that disallowed goal was huge. Also, what was huge is Matt Whitbegren's goal, too, to really put them up.
The power play goal. And to recap the scoring, 2 goals from Chad Wilson and an assist. Matt Wimmergren getting 1 goal, an under the wheelchair score to start things off. Sean Paul scored Calgary's only goal off a deflection. But Chad Wilson, the player of the game, and I would argue the play of the game was the disallowed goal, and that really would have helped Calgary's cause.
Definitely, and that would at least would have tied it then, and they could have probably it would have made the game a lot different. And definitely, if they had scored that goal, it would have been 2-2, and lots of different strategies could have been put into play.
You never know what happens in those situations when it comes to strategical input. But that concludes our first day of coverage here at the Power Hockey Cup 2014 at Roy Wilkins Auditorium. One more time, we want to thank our sponsors, Theo Technologies, Rolex Vans, Artistic Impressions, AwesomeDesign.com, Dynaquip, and Ability Care Partners Incorporated. We thank them for their support of this tournament. Our coverage resumes tomorrow at 10 a.m. as we continue group stage play. The Toronto Lake Raiders will face off against the Calgary Selects. Every team will play 2 games. The last game is scheduled for 8:30, and a lighter schedule for Wednesday and Thursday. But tomorrow, the marathon day, Mike York will be here for those games. I will return on Wednesday for the semifinals. And once more, you can get live up to the minute updates by going to the Twitter account, Power Hockey Cup, and you can also go to the website powerhockeycup.com/2014 for daily statistical updates and results. Final thoughts, Mike?
Just take a look at the final schedule here for tomorrow, and that's what times they should be playing, and so you can tune in tomorrow. We have that going on, and then we'll move up to the we'll go to Wednesday, and that's what's going to go on Wednesday if you take a look there. And also we have Thursday of what's going to be taking place at the schedule. So other than that, let's send it home. It was great broadcasting with you tonight and all day today with you, with everybody who was broadcasting with me. And have a good night and get some sleep and be ready for tomorrow.
Thank you for watching coverage of Power Hockey Cup 2014. As Mike said, we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on Ustream.